Hey everybody, welcome back to Champ and Sons and our Planet Coaster series here as we are taking a look at, yes you guessed it, the finished product of today's episode, put together over multiple live streams and then having some delays in finishing up the production based on Little League schedules, family schedules, all sorts of things that tend to happen to get in the way. We were finally able to put this thing together, and you're kind of getting a glimpse of it now, but you're going to see how we get everything going pretty much from the start to the end for the most part. So, this is some basic cinematic footage, which is why you get a look at a lot of the rocks, because my God, there was a ton of rock work going on. But this really was a strenuous but fun build to have go on for this episode. So definitely thank you. Welcome back to everybody who is returning here. And if you're new here, welcome to the channel. This is our Planet Coaster series. What you are looking at is you're going to basically see two live streams that have been sped up. Oh, good Lord, about 8 times, if I'm not mistaken. So, and this ride was kind of an interesting one for us. Because I knew I wanted to do a Log Flume ride. Not the standard kind of boat ride where you put a bridge over the middle and all this stuff. Wanted to get a decent size log ride in with a few little ups, downs, and so forth. And try to get something that, I think one that not only would we really enjoy, but aesthetically would look good coming into this area. So that was kind of the strenuous part here, is trying to really figure out how we were going to put this thing together. One of the biggest things that I definitely did want to do was put this thing in a lake, right? I've seen it done 100 times. I've never actually done it before, so I figured I would give it a shot this go around, and kind of how are we going to put this lake together? Do we just have one lake with the splashdown, but then what do we do with the rest of it at that point? Or do we try to put in essentially what amounts to 2 different lakes? How we kind of put this thing together. I do end up on going with essentially 2 lakes at that point. I think they really work better that way. The ride does with how it comes out. And it really does kind of flow pretty well together. It is going to be kind of a swampy area, a swampy kind of section, that we build. It's primarily a wooden building, if you think kind of like a swampy log cabin type setup. Now there is a bunch of rock hills, just because around some of these things you might end up seeing that. I don't really know. I thought it looked good as a pretty decent way to hide some of the I guess you could say the post for it all. And I do like how it turned out. It worked out pretty smooth. Getting everything going. I did have some screwed up feelings with this stupid path work that came in. So it's Planet Coaster pathing. It's one of those, it is what it is kind of situations. You play the game enough, you're gonna run into this kind of thing at some point. It just happens to be right now when I'm running into it. But we do go ahead and put a little border around as well. You'll see us put that in. Actually, you might not see the border get put in, but you will see the finished product. We have some good shots of it. We put in a couple of the water cannons and so forth. But the layout is relatively simple. You got a couple ups and downs. Nothing too major until the one big uphill and then the downslope after it. And one thing about these rides, you want to get people basically splashing wet. So how do you want to do that? Well, once you're putting in a hill, basically going ahead and put it in to where you might have a little waterfall on it. So we'll add in a waterfall here during the course of this thing. And then we'll have our standard gift, I guess you could say gift section. That's what we're mapping out right there with a little woodwork. I think the wood dock feeling kind of does pretty well coming from it. And overall, I really like how this ride turns out. It does kind of go through a couple of its iterations with putting it in the lakes and so forth, like that. But everything comes together pretty well at the end. So definitely stay tuned for that. Some of the scenery stuff gets kind of tedious to put in and I'll admit, doesn't always seem to line up correctly. and not like it's not on the right axis. It obviously is, but it just seems at times to feel a little forced. But so be it. I still like how it turns out, and I think this is a pretty damn good log flume ride that we put into this thing. Seems to be entertaining enough. I would go on it, and I'm not even the biggest fan of log flume rides. And I think overall it looks really good with how everything happens and comes to in this build. So I'm really proud of how it turns out. Definitely stay tuned for that, guys. We got a lot of stuff coming into the build. I'm going to leave y'all off here, even though I know y'all just love the sound of my voice. I'm going to leave y'all off here to listen to some good tunes while we get this build going, and I will check back in with y'all here in just a few minutes. So I will see y'all then, everybody. All right. And so here is where we run into a lot of the rock work. As you see, I really just wanted to hide those support beams. It's easy to do with the lake setup. Not so easy to do with rock work, or I guess I could have set up a building around it. But I think the way the rocks hide it pretty decently enough. And they don't really stick through the ride too much. At least it's not too massive of a hindrance for them. So I really like how this part turned out in the end. Putting it together was kind of a pain in the ass and wasn't something I was sitting there thinking, man, this looks absolutely outstanding. As you can see, the video footage gets kind of clippy just because of all the damn work that gets done on it and how fast this thing is going. So we are going through, and sorry for the jumpiness on it. That's what happens when you speed everything up times by 8, right? So we get the rock work put in, and now it's to kind of decorate the remainder of the ride, right? So what are we going to end up doing with it? We need to put in a lot of foliage. One, it helps hide the tracks that's there, but two, also adds that little bit of ambiance to it all. It really helps everything kind of come together some. So once again, this was kind of a struggle. Is this something where we're telling a story or something like that? No, not telling a story. We're really just kind of putting this thing together with basically with an overall purpose for everything that goes in here. And so that's what we're looking at doing as far as explaining how do we get this thing going up while trying to hide the track as much as we can at this point. And I think we do a pretty decent job. I really do like how this thing turns out. It was a tough build, but as we come to the end, man, I think it does look absolutely fantastic. I mean, let me know what y'all think in the comments. Anywhere you might want to, you would see some changes, like maybe covering the lift hill. I thought about putting a little roof over it, but decided against it in the end. So we do build the rock work basically like a massive rock wall. And I'm not really sure what I was thinking of when we put this in, but I do kind of fiddle around with that for at least a little bit, fill in some of the gaps, and have a lot of special effects with the water stuff that we add in. A little waterfall coming in right here as you kind of see it spreading out. And I think it just adds a pretty good feel to the ride. It puts everything, kind of brings a lot of the stuff together for the ride. So this really works out for us in the end. I'm proud of how this thing turns out. That's a massive little waterfall section where everybody's going to get a good heaping of water poured on them. And really, I think this turns out to be a pretty special ride, at least for me in building it, since I'm not really prone to doing these too much. So that we are going to be getting to the live portions of it here pretty soon, as you can see. And so, I mean, like I said, the live portions are coming up where you can actually see the ride. We'll go on it. But this is some of the final, I guess I could just say filler in, little space filler here to bring this whole little section together, both sides together. I think it works out pretty well with this building. It is one of the bigger builds that we have going on in the park, at least for right now. It is. Especially as far as, I guess you could say, theming. I was really kind of going for a foresty, swamp, kind of waterfall-y style theming. Not sure if that actually counts as a theme, but that's what I was going for. So just in case anybody asked, that's what it was. And so that's kind of what we were looking at with it. And I think this thing turns out pretty damn decent. Getting everything going along with the rock walls and so forth, it kind of comes together pretty excellently, I think, really at the end, especially with all the scenery and how it takes place and how it kind of looks there at the end, which we'll all take a look and see that together. So a pretty good little view here, just doing some final cover-up stuff that we know has to happen and trying to make it. I know it's going to look fake, but hey, at times that's just the way it works. Things like that do look fake in some of these parks. That's the way it goes, So like I said, space filler, this building really is kind of pointless. It is just a multi-level building that we're putting in. Like I said, to kind of fill in some of the space and kind of hint at the complete aesthetic of the area. And once again, it actually works out pretty damn decent. I surprise even myself, which really isn't that hard to do when it comes to building stuff. Because once I can put together a comprehensive, cohesive building, I've kind of done pretty good to impress myself, I will admit. So, we are going to finish putting on some of the details here. You will see at the very end, a lot of it is going to be covered with the ivy and kind of overgrown grass areas and stuff, which, once again, it really kind of fits everything to a T. And I really like how this thing comes together. I am super proud of this. I hope y'all are going to enjoy it as much as I have. I did actually building it once you get in to take the actual ride home or ride on the POV clip of it, and then you'll kind of see how everything really does shape together throughout the remainder of the build in this. You'll see some of the fun kind of sprinkle water guns that we put in, where people could put in a quarter and then hey, you get to shoot it at the people on the ride. I've seen that. At least they used to have that at Fiesta Texas on the River Rapids ride. You could do that to people, but I put it in this one. It seems to look good. It kind of fits the area, works everything together. So that's kind of how it goes for us. So we are getting ready to come up here to the POV ride sections here in just 1 minute. So definitely here's the final look of the ride as it is all put together here. Stay tuned for the POV coming up here in just a minute, guys. I want to thank y'all for joining us in this one. Enjoy these cinematic shots, the final viewpoints, and the POV, guys. I will see y'all in the next episode, though. Now, remember to hit that subscribe button if you have not hit it already, and definitely give us a thumbs up if you did enjoy this one and you're excited for things like Planet Coaster 2, the possibilities that could be with that, Planet Zoo, and so forth from there, everybody. And I will see y'all in the next episode. So, as always, guys, stay safe, and, well, y'all know how it goes from here, right? Later, y'all.